everyone, welcome. I'm glad you joined me today. My name is Bobby. When I did my soil blocking video a couple videos ago, I said in the video that I always need a refresher course every year. And one of the comments that one of you made, and I so appreciate it because it was something that I had done and I'd forgotten about. So the comment refreshed my memory and it's absolutely brilliant. So thank you for making the comment. In the soil blocking video, I mentioned how I realized that I didn't need to sow a seed in every single block. But last year I started separating my blocks into 10 blocks per section. There's 20 blocks in each section, so that if I only wanted to grow 10 of something or to start 10 of something, I could do that. And when one of you commented that you did that, I was like, oh yes, duh, I totally did that last year and I completely forgot about it. I told you I needed a refresher course every year. So it's really brilliant for us smaller gardeners that don't need 20 of something. So you just take your scraper and you just separate your blocks out. So now I have 10 that I can sow something in and 10 that I can sow something else in. And then if I want to separate these two, which I probably will just go ahead and do that because we're going to be sowing some more stock today. So that way I can have 10 more of something, one color, 10 more. And with the stock, I do want to keep them all together on the same tray because they like to be covered. They like to have a little bit of darkness to germinate, unlike, say, your snapdragons that need light to germinate. So I wouldn't want to sow snapdragons and stock in the same tray. So you're seeing here that I'm back to using my styrofoam trays versus the microgreen trays that we started the snapdragons on in the other video. And after using these now with the snapdragons, I actually thought the watering of the soil blocks was going to be so much more simple with these microgreen trays. You know, you could just lift this up, dump this out. And while they are pretty simple to use, you have to use so much water to fill up the tray, much more water than your soil blocks need. So I felt like I was wasting a lot of water, and I feel like this is not the way I will go in the future, although I will use them because I've been thinking really hard about growing microgreens in the winter because we eat a ton of salads. So I'm kind of going to try my hand at microgreens, I think. So I'll have these. They won't go to waste. Okay, so we have our 4 sections of 10 blocks for our stock. And I'm just going to sow something else in these. I'm not sure what yet. I brought my box out, but I'm just going to sow this stock with you today. But mainly I wanted to show you this brilliant hack. I mean, it's brilliant for us smaller gardeners. So this year I only have 3 colors of stock. I'm not sure what my thinking was and when I ordered my stock seeds, but I do have two of the same color that are from different companies. So I think that's what I'll do, is just do 2 of the same color from the 2 different companies to see which ones do a little bit better, or if they do the same. They probably will do the same. And as I said, when you're sowing stock seeds, you do want to cover them. So I'm going to make my divots just a little bit deeper with my pin here. I always have pins in the greenhouse. That way I can just pinch them. And also we'll cover with vermiculite. That will help with the darkness. They just want to be lightly covered. It's not a big deal. The stock seed, you'll see in a second, is a little bit larger. I'm going to go ahead and make my labels first, and I think I'm going to make it all in one. So I'm going to sort of measure. It's right there. And okay, so we're doing the 2 of the apricot. This one says deep apricot. It's by Urban Farmer. It may be a little bit different than my cat's apricot, so that might make a difference. So I'm just going to write deep apricot because I'll know it's from Urban Farmer. And then we'll write cat's apricot. And then I have cat's double white stock. I only grew the cat's series last year, and I really, really liked it. Well, I don't know what happened, but I didn't space my wording. Oh, gosh. Okay, see what I did? That means this one is the blue. Okay, so this is what the stock seed looks like. You can see it's a little bit larger. I'm not sure if we're seeing that in the camera or not, but anyway, that's what the stock seed looks like. And I do love stock seed because it's just so easy to sow. And I may have to end up getting my dampened toothpick. Another thing that I love about soil blocking is your soil blocker makes the little divots, the little indentations in the soil. And as long as you're sure that your seed has made contact with that soil, then it's just so easy to sow the seeds. You don't have to worry about, am I planting them too deeply or anything like that. It's really easy to sow seeds in soil blocks. All right, the next one is the cat's apricot. So, like I said, that may end up being a little bit different color than the deep apricot. One of the really cool things about stock is that you can plant it out in your garden space 2 to 4 weeks after they germinate. They grow pretty quickly and they like the cold temperatures. It's what's known as a cool flower. So you don't want to grow these in the summertime because they don't work well. And I have seen them actually grown in the fall, in the autumn time, just because they like the cooler weather. Now I found with my stock, and it's really true with stock, is that it is a one and done. Once I harvested the bloom, I pulled the entire plant out. The few little plants that I left in the garden just put off some little piddly side shoots. They weren't anything to write home about. So it's basically a one and done, and then you can turn that bed around and do something else in that space. Last year I didn't have any stock seeds left over, and I probably grew a couple hundred, maybe I think it was like 300, and I just kept cutting them and cutting them. I took most of them out to the food pantry, so it was a lot of fun to have the stock. I love the fragrance of stock. It smells like cloves, and I just love it. I love stock. So now we have the cat's double white. We're going to sow. With the stock last year, I had literally 100% germination. Every single soil block germinated, and I was so excited. It was my first time growing stock. And when it came time to plant it out, I just held the little soil block in my hand and just, it was so simple. I think I actually did a short or an Instagram post or something on it. It just was so, they were so easy to plant. So anyway, that's another great thing about soil blocks. You just take them apart and plant them, make a little hole with your finger. You don't even have to use a trowel or anything. They're so easy to work with. The next one we're going to sow is the cat's blue. And now I'm kind of upset that I actually didn't do more than 10. I think I'm going to have to do another tray with just 20 on it because I want more blue. So I'm just dampening my toothpick a little bit, and it picks up the seed. So on a happy note, it's calving time on the farm now. Our babies are being born, and every day I'm finding 1 or 2 or 3 being born, so that's a lot of fun. Okay, so I'm just pressing these down just a little bit more to make sure they've gotten contact with the soil. Okay, so we got all of them sowed here, and now rather than trying to take soil to put on top and cover them, I'm just going to lightly pinch over each block so that they're just kind of lightly covered. Okay, so we've got all the blocks pinched over, so the little seeds are covered. We don't want to cover them too much, but we do want to cover them, and then, like I said, the vermiculite will help with that as well. So let me get that. And as I mentioned in the soil blocking video, the vermiculite helps retain the moisture in the blocks because you don't want these blocks to get super dry. I mean, it's okay for them to dry out in between waterings, but not for extended periods of time because your little seeds will just not make it. And the vermiculite also helps to keep down the algae growth. And 1 bag of vermiculite of this size will last the home gardener or the small cut flower gardener such as myself for a long time. This is the 3rd year going on this bag. with the dome, and I already have one in there, so I'm going to stick these in, the one I already have going in there. And then once about 50% of them germinate, or a little bit more than 50% with the stalk, I'm going to take them out, and then I will put them under the grow lights. And then about 2 to 3 weeks after that, they will be ready to be planted out in the garden. It was definitely mid-March that I planted out my stalk last year. I'm pretty sure. I'll have to look back at the date, but it was sometime in there. And I had started my stalk way too early. I started my stalk in January, at the end of January last year, and I had to hold it over because I just wasn't ready to put it out in the garden after 2 to 3 weeks. That would have been mid-February or mid to late February, and I just wasn't ready to put it out in the garden at that time. So please keep your comments coming. As I said, the comment about dividing the soil blocks was a great help to me, a great reminder. So keep those comments coming. I really, really appreciate it. And until next time, friends, happy gardening. Bye-bye.